Ever find yourself scrolling through Instagram like, how does this thing even work? Or maybe you're a late-night online shopping addict like me. Well, guess what? You've already got Java to thank or blame for that.
That's right.
And today we're going deep, deep, deep into the world of Java, the coding superstar you've probably never even heard of.
Yeah.
But by the time we're done with this deep dive, you won't just know what Java is. You'll be able to explain it to your grandma.
Maybe.
All right, so first things first. What exactly are we talking about when we say Java?
So at its core, Java's a programming language, but not just any language. It's
Right.
kind of like imagine you've got this amazing cake recipe, but every oven's different, right? Some are gas, some are electric, some are ancient. Java's like that recipe, but with a superpower, it can run on any Y computer. It doesn't matter the baking setup, thanks to this thing called the Java Virtual Machine.
The JVM.
The JVM, yeah,
So
exactly.
the JVM is like the friend who can walk into any kitchen and just whip up a masterpiece, no matter what kind of oven they're dealing with.
That's a great way to put it. It's like a universal translator, taking your Java code and making it understandable for whatever device it's running on.
Ah, okay, so that's why they call it platform independent.
Right.
Write the code once, run it everywhere.
Exactly. Write once, run anywhere. It's a beautiful thing.
Beautiful and incredibly efficient. But here's what blows my mind. Java's been around since, get this, 1995. In tech years, that's like prehistoric.
Yeah, it's ancient.
How on earth has it stayed relevant for so long?
Well, it all comes down to adaptation. Java's gone through countless updates, new versions, always evolving, incorporating the latest and greatest to stay ahead of the game.
Okay, so it's not just about longevity, it's about staying power. Speaking of power, our sources highlight some pretty impressive features. One that pops up is this whole object-oriented programming thing. I'm not gonna lie, that sounds kind of intimidating.
I promise it's not as complicated as it sounds. Think of it like building with Legos.
Okay, I can work with Legos.
Instead of a jumbled mess of bricks, you've got instructions and pieces for specific structures, right? Those are like classes in Java. They encapsulate data and methods that work together.
So I want to build, say, a Lego castle. I've got my blueprint, and each part has its own set of instructions and pieces.
Exactly. And if you want to build a slightly different castle, you don't have to start from scratch. That's where inheritance comes in. You can reuse and modify existing classes. Super efficient.
Talk about a time saver. It's like having Lego cheat codes.
Right.
Makes sense. Efficiency is key. But there's more to this object-oriented programming thing, right?
Oh, yeah, there's a lot more where that came from. Like polymorphism. That's a good one.
Fully what now?
Polymorphism. It means that different parts of your code can respond to the same instructions in their own unique ways, making the system super dynamic.
So it's like giving your Lego creations a life of their own.
Exactly. They can move and interact in all sorts of cool ways.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this Java thing is such a big deal. It's not just about writing code. It's about writing smart, efficient code that can adapt and evolve.
Exactly.
But how does this translate to the real world? Where do we actually see Java in action?
Well, remember that Instagram feed we talked about? That's Java hard at work. It's the backbone of countless web applications, from online shopping to your favorite social media giants, but it goes way beyond that.
And we're back, diving even deeper into the world of Java.
That's right, because it gets even more interesting when you see how this coding language actually plays out in your everyday life.
Right, it's not just about those mobile games or online shopping sprees, although it's definitely a big part of it.
It goes way beyond that. Think enterprise-level systems, the behind-the-scenes software that keeps businesses running, governments, even healthcare systems. Java's got its fingerprints everywhere.
So we're talking serious digital heavy lifting.
Oh, absolutely.
Our sources also talk about robustness and security as key Java features. So it's not just about building cool stuff, it's about building it to last, right?
Exactly. Java's got these built-in security features, rigorous error checking to prevent crashes, vulnerabilities. That's why it's often the go-to for those super sensitive applications like online banking, e-commerce.
Which makes sense because, you wouldn't want your online banking app crashing in the middle of a transaction.
No, not ideal.
Our sources also mention this multi-threading thing. Can you break that down for us? What does that even mean?
Okay, imagine you're juggling emails, music, that chatty coworker. Most of us would be a mess, right?
Oh, for sure.
But Java's built for that kind of multitasking. Multi-threading lets it execute multiple parts of a program all at the same time. Super efficient for things like gaming, animation, anything that needs to be lightning fast.
So it's like having a team of those super efficient digital assistants all working behind the scenes to make sure everything runs smoothly.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And remember the Java virtual machine, that universal translator we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
Well, it's the maestro behind all this, managing memory, cleaning up unnecessary data, we call that garbage collection, by the way, and ensuring your Java apps run smoothly.
The JVM, the unsung hero of the Java universe.
It really is.
Our sources also mentioned something called a rich standard library.
Mhm.
Fill us in. What's that all about?
Imagine a massive toolkit. You've got pre-built components, solutions for all kinds of coding tasks, handling files, building complex data structures. That's Java's standard library. A real treasure trove for developers, saves them tons of time and effort.
It's like having those expert craftspeople who've already created the building blocks. You just have to assemble them in your own creative way.
Exactly. It's all right there at your fingertips.
That's pretty slick. But even with all this, Java doesn't just rest on its laurels, right? It keeps evolving.
Oh, absolutely. Java is known for being dynamic and extensible, which basically means it's built to embrace new technologies, new challenges.
So we've got this super adaptable, powerful language, knack for security, efficiency. No wonder it's used in so many different applications. But let's get specific. Our sources lay out some pretty compelling use cases. We've got to start with web applications. Let's face it, they kind of rule our lives now.
And Java's been right at the forefront of that whole revolution, from e-commerce giants to those social media platforms we can't get enough of. Java provides the muscle behind the scenes, handling those massive amounts of data and user interactions.
So that online shopping spree I may or may not have gone on last night, Java is probably the invisible force making sure my new gadget actually made it to my doorstep.
Exactly. And it's not just what we see on the surface. Java powers a lot of the critical infrastructure we rely on every single day. Banking systems, airline reservations, even traffic management systems.
Wow, Java's basically running the world. Okay, so we've established Java's kind of a big deal, quietly powering everything from our online shopping sprees to like the traffic lights getting us home.
Right.
But let's zoom in on some more of those everyday wonders it's behind.
Yeah, let's talk about your phone. Specifically, if you're rocking an Android, Java's practically part of the family.
Wait, seriously? My phone?
Oh, yeah?
So that game I may or may not be obsessed with, there's a good chance it owes its existence to Java.
Absolutely. For years, Java was the go-to language for Android development. And even with all the new languages popping up, its impact is undeniable.
It's like the classic rock band that still sells out stadiums. Java's got the hits.
Yeah.
But our sources also mentioned big data, and honestly, that sounds kind of vague and also kind of intimidating.
Think of it like this. Imagine trying to wrap your head around, like, the entire internet, all those posts, searches, videos. That's the scale of data we're talking about. And Java gives us the tools to actually make sense of it all.
So it's like Java's sifting through all that digital hay to find the needles, the actual insights that matter.
Precisely. Those personalized recommendations you get on Spotify, traffic predictions that help you avoid rush hour, that's Java, crunching those massive data sets behind the scenes.
Wow, talk about a digital detective. And last but not least, our sources mention cloud computing. And it seems like everything's moving to the cloud these days.
Yeah.
So where does Java fit into all of that?
Well, think of the cloud as this network of, like, really powerful servers storing and processing data. And Java, because it's so scalable, so reliable, it's perfect for building those cloud-based apps and services.
So those cloud storage services we use, or those project management tools that keep teams in sync, Java's probably pulling the strings there too.
Exactly. It's versatile, adaptable, and built for this whole cloud-dependent world we're living in.
You know, we've covered some serious ground today, from the nuts and bolts of what Java is to how it's shaping the technology we rely on every single day.
And the exciting part is Java's story is still being written. It's constantly evolving with new versions, new tools pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
So, to all you deep divers out there, if this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, remember the world of Java is vast. Who knows, maybe you'll be the one coding the next big thing. That's it for this deep dive. But keep exploring, keep asking questions. Because the more you know, the more you realize how much more there is to discover.